Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm so pleased to be joined by Ellen Lewis and Rene Haynes, the casting directors for Martin Scorsese's excellent new film, Killers of the Flower Moon. Ellen, you've worked with Martin Scorsese for years, maybe more than 30 years, I think. New York Stories maybe was your first film with him, and Goodfellas. Rene, you've specialized in indigenous casting for many years as well. You worked on huge projects with Native American and First Nation actors like Prey and the Twilight films. I guess so. Just to start coming together to collaborate on this, I guess how did that work? How did you guys work together, and how did that kind of come about?
We had worked together on Godless for Scott Frank, and that's when we first met. And so when I heard the possibility that Marty was going to be doing Killers of the Flower Moon, I'd actually already read the book, which I thought was an amazing book. And I contacted Rene right away and said, it looks like this might be happening. And, you know, she also had read the book.
And I was, of course, thrilled because I loved working with Ellen the first time. So this was even like a dream job.
And so for you guys, like, where do you start in the casting process? I know you kind of like did a lot of outreach to like the Osage community and stuff. I guess like where'd you start on that front, and how did you kind of like go about like casting? Because it's obviously like a huge film. There's so many actors in this film, not just like the De Niro's and DiCaprio's, but like, I mean, there's got to be, I don't even know how many actors there are, but it seems like there's hundreds. So I guess like how do you start, and like where do you find like a lot of these people that maybe people have not seen before, in this film?
Right. I mean, in this case, Rene, I was so lucky because we're talking now 2018, where Rene started getting my associate Kate Sprance and I films with indigenous actors, so that we were starting to educate ourselves on the talent pool.
Right. We amassed a considerable number of fantastic female indigenous actors, not only for Molly, but for the mother, for the sisters. And we started sending that to Ellen so that we could all sort of see what our options were in the world. And then, of course, we reached out to the Osage Nation and set up a big open call for them.
Rene is amazing at this. So she was able to do that outreach into the community. So now we're in 2019. We're in 2019, November, before Thanksgiving. And Rene has coordinated with people within our production, as well as the Osage Nation, having 3 open calls throughout Oklahoma. The first one being in Pawhuska, where many of the Osage live, and then Oklahoma City, and then Tulsa.
And we saw about 2,500 people all together, and those are just indigenous. That was just our indigenous open call, and then Ellen saw a lot more people in addition to that.
Right. I was set up a few little casting calls like at the end of the day, but it was an amazing experience. I mean, in Pawhuska, so many people from the Osage community came. I was in a room reading people, and
well, I was outside. We had stations for everyone. Right. I mean, it was a day. It was
3 days,
and the lines were considerably long. But they saw wardrobe. We built our file in November of 2019, and I said hello to every single person that came through the line. And if I thought that they were even remotely right for something, I sent them into another room where Ellen and my associate Elise Budell and Ellen's associate Kate Sprance were reading these people with generic sides. So we knew what the talent pool that we were building. And this was extremely instrumental in us moving forward when we did, because during the pandemic, we would not have been able to go back and do an open call like that again.
Right. I mean, and also because we were there reading people that early, I was able then to show Marty tapes of all of these real people that were coming in, people that we thought were right, what roles we thought they might be right for, or roles we didn't even know about yet, so that he could get a sense of what, he was going to be looking forward to. And there was a lot to look forward to. It was an amazing community. it was one of the great things. The open call was just a fantastic experience. And I think it was a great experience actually for everyone who came. And then we had surprises like a man named Tommy Schultz.
Tommy Schultz, right? He came through the open call and was just had such an amazing face. I was like, oh, Ellen has to see him. And he has one of the great roles in the film.
Right.
And he really does hold his own.
Right.
I have a lot of people written down. I don't have a lot of time, but he was like top of my list. I obviously had never seen him before. His first time actor, right? And then like,
totally.
Yeah,
he was a fireman, Chris. He was a fireman, and then he does jujitsu videos.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's unbelievable. He absolutely holds his own against Leo in so many scenes. I was just like, how is this? Like, who is this guy? How do you find someone like this? And he's so authentic, and he's just hilarious and like really good and like. Oh my God.
And as Ellen says, we don't cast for faces necessarily to match the historical character. But if you look at the book and you look at Blackie, he looks just like the guy.
Oh my God. It's amazing.
I mean, you just have to have such an open mind in casting and really open your imagination. And in a situation like this, the blessing of being able to see so many people from the Osage Nation and try to tell their story in the most authentic way and casting wise in the most authentic way. It's really such a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that open call, we did utilize that. There's about 62 speaking roles or named roles in the film that are indigenous, and only 14 of those were actors that I knew previous. All the rest came from the open call.
Wow, that's incredible. Ellen, you were saying, you guys were both saying this, I guess, like you obviously having worked with Marty for so long, do you guys kind of have like an idea of what he's looking for when you bring some, or are you trying to like show him actors and actresses that will like push him out of like his box, I guess, or how do you kind of like balance that?
No, I don't think of being in any box. I mean, that's the wonderful thing. There is no box. It's what is the world. So Marianne Bauer, our producer, there were home movies. There was film from the Rotary Club. There were home movies from the Osage that we had. There were pictures of many people in this community. So what you do is you kind of look at what this palette is and what the faces look like and the time period, and then just be very open to people that you're seeing, giving people a try who maybe have never acted, obviously many people who never acted before, so that Marty is very open. And that's the gift that I have of being able to work with him all these years and all the different films that I've worked on that have had people from so many, different worlds to populate and help him, whatever his vision is, for the people to be in the film and the what he is going to be creating.
Yeah. Rene, before you mentioned like how you're looking for like indigenous actresses, obviously Molly is such an incredible part, and Lily is so great in this film. It's like a kind of, I mean, she obviously was a breakout in certain women, certainly, but like this is like a level up, let's say, or at least certainly visibility wise. And I know they like Marty and Leo and everybody's talking about how Molly's like the heart and soul of the film. So it's like a high bar. You have to really make sure you get that part right. I guess, like, what was it specifically, I guess, that you guys thought that you saw in Lily that you felt like would make her like really stand out in this part?
Well, I've known Lily since the beginning of her career. I cast her in one of her first films, and she has a quiet dignity, and she doesn't have to speak. And when I read the script, this is an essence of Molly that is so integral to the story and to the character. And Lily was somebody that immediately came to mind.
So Rene mentioned Lily to me, amongst other wonderful actresses that were considered, but I had seen a certain woman, so I felt very strongly about Lily, and I was able to let Marty know I think even in that 2019, because he said, Molly, I mean, what are we going to do? I said, I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay. And we've worked together long enough that I think he took a little comfort in that. But, you don't know. And it doesn't, you again, remain open and you're reading different people. But to have such a gifted, amazing actress like Lily Gladstone, she is the heart and soul of this film. And I think her chemistry with Leo, I mean, it's heartbreaking and it's so beautiful and deep. I have just, Lily is a gift to all of us.
Are you able, like you meant, like just saying, like the chemistry and stuff, they play, like they're so good together. I've never actually seen like Leo really playing like I don't think I've ever seen him in this kind of role, but certainly like this kind of relationship is not something he's really had on screen. I mean, like the depths of the complications of their marriage and all these different things, I think are like, it's like a different flavor for him, and their chemistry is so good. Like, is that something you just kind of like instinctually think they'll have together, the chemistry, or is it just like how did you kind of like do you guess that that's gonna work? I mean, like, how does that work? Like, I guess
I mean, we definitely, I mean, I had Rene introduced me to Lily, and then Lily was in New York, so I was able, again, I don't even remember which point. I mean, the pandemic definitely plays a big part in all of this. Right. But Marty was able to Zoom read with me, and then we did the same thing with Leo. So they were not in the same room together. They were on screens together, and Marty and Leo both felt just very confident after that reading that Lily was Molly, and she is.
There you go. Proof's in the pudding, I guess, right? Like you could just see it on screen. Like I said, I have looked so many. I'm glad you mentioned Tommy Schultz. I absolutely love him in this. Cara Jade Myers, an actress I had not really seen before. I think she is amazing as Anna, who plays Molly's sister in the film. I guess, how did you kind of find her? Renee, was that someone had you experienced her before? Like, how did you kind of like find her? Yeah,
she was on our radar already. As were the other two ladies who play sisters. I mean, that's just what I do. I keep track of everyone. And these were highly contended roles. There were a lot of people who were right for them. So, I mean, she brought something to Anna that was just right.
Yeah, she like pops off the screen. I think she's so great. Another guy, a guy I wrote down was Ty Mitchell, who plays John Ramsey. I just love that guy. I love his look. I was like, who is this man? And he's like, I looked him up. He's like a real cowboy. I mean, like, how do you, like, where'd you find him? And like, how do you kind of like land on him? He's so good. He's just so good.
I reach out to local agencies. I start a full dialogue with agents all over the South, Texas, a lot of Oklahoma, North South Carolina, pretty much everywhere. I really like, this direct dialogue. So yes, Ty Mitchell actually had acted before. He was in No Country for Old Men. I actually just saw Joel Coney said, you just had our guy in the movie. It's like, I know. Anyway, he did a phenomenal audition where he was rolling a cigarette and his dog was walking around, and again, there's an authenticity to Ty and a naturalness to his performance where somebody like that, I feel pretty good right away that he will be in the film.
It's like amazing. The authenticity is amazing because I feel like these are, I mean, like it doesn't even track that you're watching a lot of these. Like, I just feel like for him, for Tommy Schultz, like, it's just like, I believe that these guys are these guys, and it just is so incredible watching them with the ensemble. I think it's so great, and especially amid like these, like you said, like opposite, like Leonardo DiCaprio is the biggest movie star in the world, and these guys are just like kind of just rolling with it. I just was so impressed with all of these actors. I just think it's incredible.
Right, because I think it's probably really inspiring for Leo to have these real people who feel so authentic to their world. And so I think it helps all the actors, certainly over the years, the different films that I've done that Bob De Niro's in, we're always reaching a bit into the real world of whatever it may be. And I think that these are actors who are really open I think their craft is open, and I think they're open to Marty's process, and therefore they're open to my process of casting, which is very exciting.
Yeah. And then the last, I like I said, so many written down. William Bilal, I think, played Henry, right? Am I saying his name right? He's another
William Bellew.
Bellew. William
Mhm.
Bellew, incredible performance as Henry. I thought he's so good and like really heartbreaking. Another actor I'd never seen before, obviously, and feels so authentic and real. Is that, again, like you said, Rene, like maybe keep track of all these actors you're running into?
I gave William his first job when he was 19 years old back in 2001 or something. I don't remember the year, but he actually works quite a lot in Canada. He's Canadian. And yeah, he's one of those great actors that's always been on my radar.
Just incredible performance again. And he obviously works with John as well in the film, or I'm sorry, Ty, who plays John in the film, and Bob as well. And then there's also a lot of just musicians in the right, like Pete Yorn plays a character. I didn't even recognize him. I was like, who's this guy? And I was like, wait, that's Pete Yorn. I had his CD when I was like 20 years old or whatever. I was like, Sturgill Simpson. I'm forgetting other. There's definitely other, Jack White, obviously.
Jason Isbell.
Yeah. Just like, what was it about the musicians, or how come, like, why did so many of them end up in the film, I guess, or what was it about that?
Because as I'm starting casting and I'm reaching out to all of those local agencies that are all over the South, I thought, oh, I think I should reach into the music world and call agents who handle musicians. Again, we're in the pandemic, so maybe people are, on the road. Maybe I said, any of your clients who might be interested in acting, if you could send me an interview. So I didn't need to hear their music. I mean, I knew Sturgill's music. I knew Jason's music, Jack, obviously. So I wanted to hear them speak. And from that, then I started reading. I read many, many musicians, and it's just being open again to the authenticity, to the faces. They sounded authentic and seemed to fit our era very well. So it's just one of the great things I think about casting, and helping to lay the palette of faces of which the movie then revolves around. And I do think that those musicians added an authenticity to the world that we were creating, or that Marty was creating.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I was like I said, like at the end of the movie, just looking at I'm like, I just couldn't believe some of the people who are in it. It's just like, you're just totally buying it. They're playing these. I was like, where did they find all these actors? I cannot believe this. And you guys are found the actors. Ellen Lewis and Rene Haynes, just an amazing job on this film, Kills the Flower Moon, in theaters Friday. And thank you so much for doing this. It's great chatting.
Thank you.